Got the teleprompters to introduce Ronald. Hey, Betsy. Sorry. No. Too much. Ladies and gentlemen, the Foreign Minister, Israel Katz. I'd like to call Ronald Bacalarz to come up and introduce the minister.
Good afternoon. My name is Ronald Bacalarz, and I am from Aventura, Florida. I am honored to introduce Minister of Foreign Affairs and member of the Security Cabinet, Israel Katz. Minister Katz previously served as the Minister of Finance, Minister of Transportation, Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, Minister of Agriculture, and Minister of Intelligence. He had quite a career. He has been a member of the Knesset since 1988 on behalf of the Likud Party and has served on several committees, including the Foreign Affairs and Security Committee, the Finance Committee, the Knesset Committee, the Law, Constitution and Justice Committee, and the Interior and Environment Committee. Notably, during his tenure as Minister of Transportation, he implemented a series of significant reforms in infrastructure, ports, roads, railways, and aviation. Also, he was appointed to be Minister of Finance during the global coronavirus pandemic and led the campaign to keep Israel's economy afloat. Minister Katz, before you begin, we have been asking many of our speakers to share with us where they were when they understood what was happening on October 7. What was your experience in those first hours of the war? Please welcome Minister Katz.
President Mike Tuchin, President-elect Bernie Kaminsky, Chair Betsy Koren, CEO Howard Kohl, Vice CEO Elliot Brandt, Managing Director Ernie Christensen, okay? Distinguished guests, I welcome you to Israel and Jerusalem, the eternal capital of the Jewish people, for over 3,000 years and forever. First, I want to thank you for the years of support for Israel that have brought the relation between the United States and Israel to new heights. There is no greater ally to Israel in the world than the United States, and there is no greater ally and friend to the United States in the region than Israel. Your support for Israel, especially during this difficult time, is more important than ever. On October 7, Hamas attacked Israel in a very brutal way. They murdered children in front of their parents' eyes, burned babies alive, raped women and girls, and kidnapped over 250 hostages to Gaza. On October 7th, were murdered more Jews than any other day since the Holocaust. That is why Israel decided to go to war to achieve two main goals: return of all hostages and the elimination of Hamas in Gaza. Hamas has built an underground terror city in Gaza and uses civilians as human shields. Make no mistake, these are war crimes. Israel is paying heavy price. Our brave soldiers are aware of the dangers, but are fighting to release the hostages and restore security to the state of Israel. We will not stop until all our goals are achieved. We appreciate President Biden's support and the help of the United States has provided Israel since the beginning of the war. The deployment of American forces to the region made a significant contribution to the deterrence balance against Iran, supported by Russia and China in a global struggle against the US and Western countries. We are in the middle of the Third World War against the axis of evil led by Iran and radical Islam. This is not just our war. It is the war of the entire free world. We support direct negotiation without preconditions with the Palestinians and oppose the one-sided declaration of a Palestinian state. 100 out of 120 members of the Knesset support this policy. We need your help in supporting this policy and preventing one-sided decision against Israel. This is the only way we can achieve peace. This is the way we sign peace agreements with Egypt, Jordan, and the Abraham Accords. And this is how we will achieve normalization with Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries. That is why the Palestinian Authority must make deep changes regarding its education system, stopping incitement such as free Palestine from the river to the sea, without any Jew. Condemning terrorism and stopping financing families of terrorist murderers. After the October 7th massacre, we understand that Israel's security between the Jordan River and the sea must be held only in Israel's hands. Israel has no interest in being responsible for the Palestinian population in Gaza. Israel will disengage from all civil ties with Gaza. Hamas must be dismantled, and Gaza must undergo a process of demilitarization and de-radicalization. There will be a security border between Israel and Gaza. The world can maintain civil ties with Gaza through Egypt, and the sea with the idea of the international artificial island and seaport, which I have raised and talked about over a decade. The island will be connected to Gaza with a bridge 3 miles long without endangering Israel's security. Israel will maintain the right to inspect ships at sea to prevent Iranian ships from arriving and smuggling weapons to the island and into Gaza. The United States must pressure Iran and Lebanon to bring about the withdrawal of Hezbollah to the north of the Litani River, according to UN Resolution 1701. That will enable the return of Israeli residents in northern Israel to their homes safely. The alternative is a full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah and Lebanon. The United States must impose an effective military threat on Tehran to stop Iran's support for all proxy terrorist organizations it has built in the region: Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza, the Houthis in Yemen and the Red Sea, and Shiite militias in Iraq and Syria who attack American forces. Iran's progress in developing nuclear weapons must be blocked. An extreme regime like Iran, working to promote the Shiite revolution in the region and the world, cannot be allowed to have nuclear weapons. The way to prevent war tomorrow is to stop Iran today. Another important task we must address is the fight against anti-Semitism and incitement against Jewish communities and against the state of Israel, including in the United States, especially on social media like TikTok and other platforms. Today, there are Jews who are afraid to identify themselves as Jews. We cannot accept such a reality. Anti-Semitism has become a strategic threat on the state of Israel. In addition to the military victory we must also win on this front. Incitement puts pressure on leaders and may harm Israel's right to self-defense against its many enemies. Voices are already heard in the United States today calling to stop American aid to Israel. Israel has known throughout of the years, with the great support of you, AIPAC, how to maintain bipartisan support to Israel, and we must make every effort to maintain this support today as well. As the Israeli foreign minister, I lead a policy of aggressive response to anti-Semitism and incitement against the state of Israel. This is what I did with the president of Brazil, Lula, who compared Israel's just war against Hamas in Gaza to what Hitler and the Nazis did to the Jews. I summoned Brazilian's ambassador to the Hall of Names in Yad Vashem and showed him exactly what Hitler did to the Jewish people. I informed him that the President Lula is a persona non grata in Israel until he will apologize and retract his words. After the publication of the UN envoy's special report on sexual crimes committed by Hamas on October 7th against Jewish women and girls, the rape, murder, and mutilated bodies, I demanded a special session of the UN Security Council, despite the opposition of the UN Secretary General, who leads an anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli policy since the beginning of the war. The Security Council convened at the request of the United States, France, and Britain for a special discussion to which I arrived with 40 representatives of families of hostages in Gaza. I demanded that the Security Council finally declare Hamas as a terror organization and impose sanctions on it, as was done with Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and call for the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages back home. I will continue to fight for the honor of the state of Israel and the Jewish people everywhere. I want to thank you again for all the support over the years for Israel and pray with you for a great victory of the state of Israel against all its enemies and the return of security, peace, and prosperity. And as we say in Hebrew, in our prayer, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. Thank you. Thank you very much.